Hello guys and welcome back to X-tricated. It's been a while and we've missed you guys. I'm sure you've missed us too. We'd like to welcome you back to X-tricated, and as always I'm KB and with me here is DDB.
So guess what guys, so this is the first time that me and KB are actually in the same room recorded. And KB is shy, very shy.
What? No, please, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not
KB is shy. KB is shy. He's even stuttering himself.
I don't know what he's talking about. My voice is
stuttering.
perfect, as you can hear me right now.
He's stuttering. So
please. It's not an episode without David lying against me. So
I'm not lying.
That's alright. That's alright.
Okay, if that's the case, you know what, guys? Just check out on Tuesday evening, right? When this comes out, right? The next day, I'm going to post bloopers, right? And you hear the stuttering. Trust me, you hear the stuttering.
Lies, fallacies.
We'll see. No. We'll see. You guys should just check our Instagram. That's all. Anyway, guys, like we've missed recording. It's been a while, and it was necessary that we actually took a hiatus. And thank God we're back. And yeah, you guys have already seen the change in our logo, and we decided that it was the right thing to do because we wanted to do some things looking forward, and then we decided that we feel it was right and it will just change.
Exactly.
It was my idea, by the way, nothing has to do with
it wasn't his idea.
It was my idea.
I gave him the original idea and then he decided what it would look like, and now
Yes!
feel like
This is my brain that is the author of that.
Oh, please.
You just let me not go Sheldon for you here then. So,
you wouldn't even be able to do that. But it's alright. So today's topic is centered around central banks. You may know central bank as just central bank, you may know it as a national bank, you may know it as Federal Reserve, depending on what country you're in or what country you're from. Hopefully we're having people from many countries listening to this.
The United States of America is called the Federal Reserve.
Yes. Like we have, like in Switzerland, for example, you have the Swiss National Bank.
Yeah.
And here in Nigeria, we have the Central Bank of Nigeria. So,
CBN, the mighty CBN, with all their policies.
Yeah, so CBN has been in the news of late, with the new Naira redesign, new cashless policies, different monetary policies, to be honest. we've had so many policies. So within this current period, yes, there have been many monetary policy changes that have been introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria. So it has made us it has prompted us to do this episode about central banks. So we're going to talk about like the history, how central banks came about initially, what are their functions, what do they do, and we'll see how central bank has executed some of those functions in recent times. So David, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. So off record, we've been talking about policies before we started recording. We actually had a lengthy discussion on how stuff have been happening over the past 12 months, 11 months, and we've noticed a lot of things that the policies that CBN have been making are now it made us just reflect back to the episode that we did about the economic machine, right? And talking about inflation, talking about a whole lot of things. Now, let's talk about central bank, right? I'm not going to talk about the history. He is going to talk about the history, but I'm just going to talk about what in general what they do, right? And just give us top 3 of what they do, and then basically after the history, we're just going to give examples of what has happened and what we see in the market and what we see CBN doing or what we think they are doing, right? So central banks, right? They are basically regarded as the lender of the last resort. So now, apart from that, their primary role is to create monetary policies, right, that are going to help curb inflation. You understand? So inflation in its simplest form is the rise in price of goods and services and commodities, right? Whatever you buy, how we all know of how rice is now I think above 40,000 naira. I think in other markets is even above 50,000 naira. It's higher than that, yeah. So looking at it, we've also seen apart from the primary thing, which is the monetary policy to control its money supply, often mandated with maintaining low inflation, right, and steady GDP growth. And the second one is now on a macro basis, right? Central banks influence interest rates and participate in open market operations. Now, open market operations are an example is when CBN goes and buy government bonds so that they can give money to the government, and then money can start flowing when there's no money in the market. Yeah. Then the third one is on a micro scale, right? The central bank now sets commercial banks reserve ratio. You understand, and that helps because when people now do not have where to get money, right? As I said, an example is when CBN buys government bonds, right?
Yes.
You understand, buy government bonds. So lenders of the last resort, basically, if everything does not work, at the end of the day, banks, institutions can come to CBN to lend money, right? So now those are the top three things, right, that we feel central banks do everywhere, not just in Nigeria but everywhere. Yeah. So based on the history, central banks have been there, I think, since 1694.
1694, yes.
Yeah.
The very first iteration of a central bank was like the Bank of England around 1694. But then we really don't have, the way central banks currently operates today has actually started like in the early 20th century, when the currencies were being pegged to the gold standard, you understand?
Okay.
So at that point it was very, very easy to stabilize prices or keep prices stable, because they weren't really going up. Gold was not readily available, you understand? Gold was a little bit of a scarce commodity, so it was much easier for them to to maintain the price of goods, maintain the price of services and all that, just because gold is a scarce commodity and that's what you're tying your country's currency to. You understand? So it was very, very easy to control inflation at the time. But then towards the World War I time, you had more countries switching to paper currencies, so that they can print a lot of money so that you can have more money to fund the wars and stuff like that. So it's those things actually drove inflation up, and central banks now have to come in and control them with different policies. So the way that central banks currently operate actually started in the early 20th century due to these kind of influences. So if you think back to the Great Depression, after the World War II, and after World War II rather, world governments predominantly favored a return to central bank that is dependent on political decision-making processes. So central banks ordinarily work outside the purview of the government. Yes. Remember when we talked about economic machine? We talked about the government. Under the government, we talked about both the central government and the central bank. Yes. So they are governing together, they are governing monetary policies together, but then the central bank is more independent of the central government. Yes. So they can take those decisions and you can make monetary policies without the central government influencing them.
And just like we had an episode of INEC, right? Just how independent is INEC? I'm going to have this. I'll say it again. Just how independent is CBN?
the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Or just how independent is central banks across the world? How really are they independent? Because if we're honest, right? I always see Emefiele. There's this picture that Emefiele, is it Emefiele? Emefiele, he was like, what's it called, prostrating in front of Buhari, and I'm like, how?
It's just respect now. He's greeting his elder.
I do not believe that CBN is that independent because of the person that is there. As just as we said in INEC, yeah. When we're talking about INEC, I believe that an organization or a body like that being independent depends on the integrity of that particular person that is leading that body.
That is
so
very true.
yeah, so I'm still banking. I'm still banking and supporting on that, even on CBN's case.
Yes, especially when it comes to a country like Nigeria.
Exactly.
You understand? In most other countries, you may not really have that much of an influence. The American presidents, I mean, someone as crazy as Donald Trump could have, tried to influence some certain things
but
on the federal or the governor now or secretary. I don't know who heads the Federal Reserve.
I don't know.
So I don't really know what the term is, but then sometimes you can have people like that, but then that's when the integrity of the head of the central bank comes into play. But most times in Nigeria, many Nigerians have viewed Central Bank of Nigeria as like a government lapdog doing the government's bidding. But then also most times too, central bank has also acted independently. So it's kind of like a 50-50 situation with Central Bank of Nigeria.
Okay, so the Federal Reserve is headed by a board of governors, and then the board of governors have a head or maybe like a chairman, right? So that's how the Federal Reserve is being headed. I just checked it out. It's basically a chairman. It's a chair of the Federal Reserve. So it's a board of governors, right? But then there's going to be one person that heads them, and the person is called a chair. And the person right now the current chair is Jerome Powell. Yeah, he was appointed in 2018. Now back to CBN, yeah. So over the past I think 11 months, right? Me and Kabiru were just researching, and we found out that the inflation rate has increased in this country from 14% to right now it's at 16.5%. No, not 16.5%. Yeah. Now,
are you talking about interest rates or inflation?
No, inflation rates, for example, right now, have increased to 21.1%. Yeah, and our interest rates in this country has also increased to 16.5%, and this is a 17-year high. And they've increased interest rates in Nigeria this year 4 times.
So that means that they are actively trying to discourage
loans. You understand?
And the funny thing was that back in 2019, I think I already said this. Back in 2019, the central bank had a policy. I mean, go back to our episodes concerning the economic machine where we talked about credit, giving credit. When you have lower interest rates, you have more people borrowing. And what is the reason why central banks will lower interest rates? It is to drive the economy, make more money come into people's hands, so they can drive their transactions, increase productivity and whatnot. So central bank in 2019 made a mandate that commercial banks were to give, for every 100 naira deposit they received, they're to give 65 naira out as loans. That is 65% of your deposit should go out again as loans. So it was encouraging borrowing. And if you even look at that, around this time, between that time and now, we have the proliferation of most of these loan apps and whatnot. Exactly. So all those things were like driving, people to, they are intended to drive people to increase their productivity.
I think if I'm not mistaken, that's when Kuda Bank actually made name. during that period because they were giving that. I think they had this low interest rates,
low interest loans,
very low interest loans, and all that.
Yes,
and it has. And let me tell you, the truth is that it has come into that. Is it short-term debt cycle now? Are we going to call this into a long-term debt cycle?
We're going into the long-term.
We're going into the long-term debt cycle because right now we're coming to a place where you cannot control. Like they've been trying to control since 2020. Yeah, they've been trying to put policies to control the inflation, and they've gone from I think under 10% interest rate to now we have like this year the highest is 16.5%. They changed it last month in November, right, to 16.5% interest rate. That is super high.
Yes.
That is super high.
Super high.
You understand? That is super high, and they've changed that like 3 times this year. You understand? 14% to 15.5% to 16.5% right now. So like that one aside, when you come to look at the policies that they've made after announcing that they were going to redesign the Naira note, where they say cash, what's it called? They're basically telling you that you're not going to withdraw more than I think 20,000 Naira cash in a day, you understand, and 100,000 Naira in a whole week over the counter. So that alone is basically discouraging people from actually having cash to actually spend. Yes. You understand? And then I don't have anything to back what I'm about to say right now, but I feel that in over the 200 million people that we have in Nigeria, only 25% or maybe less know how to use online transactions.
I don't think it's a matter of knowing how to use online transactions. I feel it's more about not trusting online transactions, because I know that you and I can relate. You as listeners can relate to this. You've had situations where you wanted to pay for something with your bank app, but then the bank app fails.
Yes, I get stressful.
I know we made jokes where you say you go to a restaurant and you eat food. You want to pay with
at the end of the day,
you're going to
spend the day cleaning the restaurant for them.
So so many Nigerians do not trust bank apps because there have been a lot of instabilities with so many banks. There are some banks that have done a very good job when it comes to online transactions, especially with the mobile app. Let's not even talk about USSD banking and the likes. So some banks have actually done good. They've done well with that. But then there are some banks that also have like recurring problems. There are some banks that you send money and you don't even receive you don't receive the credit alert, but then you receive debit alert.
Exactly.
So those things
can also be stressful. It's not even about the trust. It can it's a factor for that trust, but it actually can be stressful because I was talking to some of my friends recently. I said they don't have the infrastructure right now in Nigeria to actually implement these particular policies that they have, because at the end of the day they're going to stop people from having cash, but they will not the infrastructure is not going to allow them to spend as much money they want to spend online, because it's not going to be seamless.
Yes.
One, network is not that good. It always fumbles one way or the other, and the funny thing is when you need it the most, that's when the network just goes off.
Imagine having a medical emergency that you have to pay for, and then your bank app keeps on failing.
Exactly. What kind of frenzy are you going to go into? Just imagine your situation in that. So I feel that's what I feel. I feel they are trying to control inflation, and they also looked at basically the data of how many people are actually using it and how many people actually trust the banking system to actually use online or the cashless policy. So just imagine they say, okay, fine, people can now, like for example, now we're in the north, and people that I know right now, most people that I know that have businesses, farms and all that, they're going to have a hard time. They are really going to have a hard time using the online system, you understand, because they have to learn, you understand, they have to also bring people to do, and how many people actually trust people to handle their passwords and handle their online transactions?
It's not even safe.
It's not even safe. That's
any banker will discourage you from doing that.
Exactly. So they'll tell you to come and learn and so I need to. So at the end of the day, they are limiting people spending. You understand? And as they'll say, the smoke screen for this is basically security. That's what they use, right?
Security.
Yeah, they use security. Yeah, security. It will work. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it also stop you from spending that much. So they are trying to control inflation. That's what I believe. Basically, that's primary. As I said earlier, their primary job is to create monetary policies that will reduce what's it called, inflation, basically. So that's basically how I think, what we think about CBN and what CBN does. As I said, there are three primary things that they do, right? Three things. First, monetary policies, which is the primary thing, right? Monetary policies that they're going to put out there to reduce inflation and control inflation. Yeah, that's one. And then on the macro level, they also help reduce interest rates, as we also talked about and gave examples about, and also perform and also be part of the open market goings. Then the third one, on the micro level, they also help with lending. That's on the last result, basically. So they're basically the last resort lenders. Yeah, and that's the episode. And guys, we've really missed recording. Don't worry, you're going to listen to the bloopers. Trust me,
you're not.
It's going to be funny.
It's
really going to be funny.
You're not going to do that.
It's really going to be funny. Just look out for that. Yeah, I'm going to even send you personally, for those that are on WhatsApp. Yeah, I'm going to send you maybe during midweek, maybe Thursday, Friday. I'm going to send you the bloopers. Yeah,
he's not going to do anything of such. Thank you for listening to this episode, and we're glad to have you back. So we look forward to listening. We look forward to you listening to our next episode too. It's going to be an exciting one.
Oh, let me even give them a spoiler. Yeah. So you've been spending money, talking about dirty December, talking about going out since what's it called? Since Thanksgiving, since the first week of November till the second week.
People have been talking about dirty December since July. Since we entered the second half of the year, they've already started planning for.
But there's a research. Don't quote me on this. There's a research that says that people spend more in the period of first week of November to the second week of January they spend money in that period more than they spend money in any other period throughout the year. Don't quote me on this, just go and check it yourself.
So the next episode is going to be on the economics of the holidays.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an exciting one.
And how businesses usually use psychological effects. Oh my god. On us. It's not just you but us, all of us. It's during this period that it's only the strong, even the strong self, I don't think they used to escape. Alright guys, that's the episode. I'm glad to have you here. Have a good week, and glad to have you back.